Okay, today is day 11 of our experiment making sourdough starters from scratch. We're doing really well. This is how our white starter's doing. Now remember, this is day 11. On day 6 we thought it was almost dead. And now it's got some very beautiful fermentation. Smells very good. Smells like it needs to be fed. It's got a little bit of a sharp odor to it, but it has a good yeasty smell to it. Here's our hybrid starter. It also looks lovely. Beautiful fermentation. That smells really good. Smells extra wheaty with the whole wheat in it. Remember, this is half white and half whole wheat. And here is our 100% whole wheat starter. And look at that fermentation. See, so most of you that give up on day 6 because, oh, maybe on day 3 or day 4 it was looking really foamy and then it kind of died down and you thought, oh, I killed it. Well, you didn't kill it. You just didn't wait long enough. So we're on day 11, and you can see all 3 of them have great fermentation. The whole wheat starter still smells good. This is the one that we started out with pineapple juice instead of water. And it never did smell bad like the other 2. Smelling bad is normal if you just use water because there's other types of bacteria in there that try to dominate the starter until it's acidic enough where they finally die out. And then the good bacteria take over. So that's what some of that early fermentation is all about. It's not necessarily the type of bacteria that you want. It's just some bacteria that's fermenting. We're at the stage now where the bacteria that you want's in there, and the yeast that you want is in there, and at this point you could start using your starter with no problem. Every day from here out until day 14, we have today's day 11, we have 12, 13, and 14. Each day it will get a little stronger. So if you did an experiment where you feed this starter and you put it in a jar, and then you check it over several hours, you could see if it actually doubled. And if it doubles over the course of 4 to 6 hours, you could make bread with it. If it still doesn't double, then keep feeding it and give it time to grow stronger. Okay, so from this point out, we'll basically just be discarding part of the starter and feeding it. And we feed it the same weight of water and flour. If you wanted to make bread, you would not discard as much, and you would feed it actually more food so you have enough for your formula. But since I am not going to be making bread with this starter, I think I will just continue to use just a small amount in the bottom. And so the ratio of food is higher than the ratio of starter. That gives the starter more food for a longer period of time. And since most of you feed only once a day, which you should be doing in the first 14 days, you should not put it in the refrigerator. It needs to come to full strength and full maturity before you try refrigerating it. So we're going to feed our white starter. And we'll feed it the 60 grams of white flour, unbleached white flour, and 60 grams of water. A little too much there. There we go. And actually, since we're on day 11, After I feed all these starters, I might go ahead and put them into glass jars and mark them and see if they double today. That might be an interesting part of our experiment. Here's our hybrid starter. I will also pour out most of this starter. And we'll add 30 grams of white flour and 30 grams of whole wheat flour, which will end up being 60 grams of flour altogether, and 60 grams of water. Now, if your starter at this point is still not doing very well, you might want to look at your water. There may be something in your water that is keeping your starter from thriving, especially if you're using tap water. And or your flour. Your flour might be old. You might want to just go get a fresh bag of flour to start with. Freshly ground flour would be ideal for making a starter. It's full of really live, fresh organisms. The microorganisms that you want to make your starter with. They cover the wheat berry. Well, there's our hybrid starter. And here's our whole wheat starter. I'll also discard most of that. And we will feed that 60 grams of whole wheat flour and 60 grams of water. Sure smells good. Here are all of our 3 starters. And like I said, I'm going to go find some jars and we'll put the starters in the jars here on day 11 and see if they're strong enough to make some bread. I'll be right back.